I'm going to give you the short and sweet of this video right off the back. Rogelio Nores has hired a new lawyer, and the new lawyer that Rogelio Nores has hired is a lawyer that has a brother in the Minister of Justice. This lawyer is responsible for Rogelio Nores' defense in the appeal. All right. So we're about to get into it. Let's go. This new article that dropped on InfoBay. I had a feeling this was about legal strategy. We said this when we talked about why would Rogelio Nores sue Liam Payne's dad, right? What would be the reason behind that? And if it's not for anything else than for the appeal and for a legal strategy. I'd like to say that we called that out. Yes, we did. If you remember that video, let me know. So InfoBay drops this. Businessman prosecuted for Liam Payne's death strengthened his defense with a new lawyer. Key hearing. RAFAEL LIBARONA now represents Rogelio Nores. The businessman will face the sixth chamber to hear his appeal. The controversial lawsuit against the singer's father. So InfoBay dropped this today, literally about an hour ago. On February 10th, the 5 defendants in the murder of former One Direction singer Liam Payne and their defense attorneys will face the 6 chambers of criminal and correctional court to appeal their situations. Among them, Rogelio Nores, accused of negligent homicide. Alongside him will be his new lawyer, Rafael Libarona. In recent weeks, Libarona, brother of the Minister of Justice of the Nations, responsible for the defense that achieved the acquittal of rugby players. Now, I'm not going to get into that. Apparently, this defense attorney was successful in receiving the acquittal of various rugby players that were accused of rape. Rogelio has hired this attorney, and this attorney's brother is head of the Minister of Justice in Argentina. Now, hold up. Now, let me tell you guys something else about this whole situationship, okay? Rafael Libarona, his brother, is named Mariano Libarona. He is basically the head of the Justice Department, just like you would have heads of justice departments here in the United States. They have something similar to that in Argentina. So shout out to Eugenia and Julia for explaining this a little bit to me. This attorney is now going to be representing Rogelio Nores in the appeal process of this case. Libarona's argument is based on a question of objective liability. In her indictment, the judge pointed to Nores as a guarantor for Liam in the country. In line with that was stated by prosecutor Andres Madre, who through telephone expert reports and the testimony of Jeff Payne, Liam's father, had surrounded the singer in his last months in his treatment for drug use, controlling his expenses. Even his communication with his own father with the view to perhaps a possible pop business. So what the judge saw here was that Rogelio made himself a guarantor, right? He did this free of charge, absolutely nothing, out of the kindness of his heart, you guys. Very kind man, right? But I think what people could see through that, because they felt like, wait a minute, like nobody does this for free. Nobody's going to take care of a drug addict for free. He put himself in that situation. Don't forget the word reimbursement. And even in Rogelio Nores' own email to the financier, to the financial people, I did this for Liam and did this for Liam and was never reimbursed. Reimbursement is a key word, meaning that at some point, if Liam had not died, and he was somewhat successful in having Liam, produce a hit single, making him go back to the stage, getting into businesses. If Liam had been successful in any of that, Rogelio Nores would have wanted some level of payback for this, right? A reimbursement of some sort. Nores, on the other hand, denied being his manager in his presentation to the justice. In the middle of the month, after InfoBay revealed the strongest points of Jeff Payne's statement against Nores produced 2 weeks before his death, in October 2024, the businessman counterattacked with the defamation lawsuit against Payne Sr., with a 263-page document advanced by journalist Tomás Mier from the Rolling Stones. It was presented curiously in Florida, where Nores accompanied Payne in his treatment before arriving in Argentina. Now here we have a direct quote, and it says, "The lawsuit we filed in the United States is to put a stop to an unnecessary, deceitful attack, where they seek to hold a person like my client responsible for not uncovering the reality of who is responsible for Payne's falling into drugs at a very young age. Wow. My client is not a manager. He is not a nurse. He is not a psychologist, nor a psychiatrist, nor does he work with the recovery of addicts. He is simply a friend in Argentina who helps him with this business matters. This is what Libarona, Rogelio Nores' attorney, this is what he quoted. This lawsuit in Florida was filed very strategically, as I had said when I was reading from it. I said, this is just weird and off, and you don't do this other than for strategy, legal strategy. And this is the attorney. This is what he looks like for those that are wondering. We'll definitely show a picture of that. So according to the lawyer, it all comes down to personal responsibility. And this is where Libarona comes in. The lawyer who also represents businessman Francisco Sáenz Valente, accused of the death of a model, Emily Rodriguez, at a drug party in his Retiro apartment, spent part of the academic life researching the figure of negligent crime. He wrote a reference volume, Criminal Liability of the Businessman. Okay, so that gets into a little bit of the attorney's background. All right, who again, his brother is head of the Justice Department. Okay, so we also entered into the sphere of competence of each one's domain. We are not all responsible for our action. Each has a role because we live in a society of roles. So he is not a guarantor. This lawsuit that we started in the United States is to put things in their place because today it is very easy to declare wrongfully against. It is very easy to declare wrongfully against a person, he continues. However, the journalist for Infobay writes, notice the company Payne controlled his expenses, got him accommodations, among other things. It is in the file. He knew about his psychiatric treatment and the dangers of the interactions of medication with alcohol. What is the new axis of the defense then? The key issue is to remove the position of guarantor attributed to Norris. Okay. So this lawyer's strategy is going to remove basically any responsibility that Rogelio has. What the judge, who by the way, the sentence was reduced, right, to like 1 to 4 years. He was facing 15. Okay. This attorney's strategy is to remove this guarantor title from Rogelio Nores. I mean, you just can't forget the communication between the Hotel Casa Sur, right? Let's keep reading this. There is a great deal of confusion between the position of guarantor of a person and the legal duty that each of us has as a principle of self-responsibility to take care of ourselves. So here's my question though, okay? If the argument is that Rogelio Nores was not the guarantor, okay, because they're trying to remove that title, and then they're trying to put the blame on Liam's dad because Liam's dad knew of all these issues that were going on. So then does that make Liam's dad a guarantor? Or what does that mean exactly? Like, even this defense of this is crazy to me. But at the end of the day, it's been filed. It's all strategy. Is this Liam's own responsibility? The singer was a person who already had a complicated history of drug use, recoveries, and relapses. He knew very well for many years the harmful effects of drugs. Even so, he continued to consume. He continued to consume his own free will. No one forced him. No one betrayed him. No one coerced him. No one extorted him to consume. How do you prove that when we have a missing watch? The drugs didn't kill Liam Payne. I stand by that still, for anybody that wants to argue that. And that is where the article ends. This is BS. This is BS. But he's got a new attorney. And let me tell you, it's all strategy. He got the attorney because of the appeal, this lawsuit in Florida. It makes me wonder how it's going to be used in the appeal process in Argentina. Is it possible that Rogelio Nores is going to walk? You guys let me know your thoughts in the comments. I don't even know how to answer that. I'll see you guys on the next one. Rabbits out. Bye, guys.